You are a gladiator that can win fight after fight against even the most powerful wizards. Your secret? You were cursed as a kid to nullify any magic that came close to you. Take back what you said about my wife. I sipped my ale and put the tankard back on the table. Dude, I don't know you, or your wife, or said anything to anybody recently. I'm just here for a drink and a meal, so go bother someone else, please. The mage's staff crackled with a blue aura. He stamped it on the floor and shouted, You dare dismiss Auric, chief mage of the Sceptered Isle? How dare you? He flapped his shimmering cloak for effect. The tavern wasn't very full. The dozen or so patrons there were a mix of wizards, warriors, necromancers, and 11 types. Nobody seemed particularly impressed with Auric's speech. The barmaid continued table service while the mage fumed. I couldn't tell if she was a magic user like most of the others. I moved my chair away from the table but remained seated as the mage approached from my left. I rotated in my chair and extended my left leg to face the mage. My left hand was on my knee. Lord Auric, Mage Supreme of this beautiful isle, please forgive my ignorance about that of which you speak. I have arrived but this morning on the sloop Narwhal, and have but gone about my business. There is need for carpenters and shipwrights here, I've been told, and... Silence, oaf! Thundered Auric, coming closer. You will pay for your insolence. He lowered and pointed his staff at me as he approached. Bad mistake. He clearly knew only the ways of magic, and not grappling. I heard him inhale to pronounce some incantation as the glowing staff head neared my own. Very bad mistake. I rotated my left arm up and around to bat away the staff, shifting up and out of my chair. Legs bent and low, I reached up and behind his neck with my right hand and pulled his head forward and down as I sat again. His face slammed into the corner of the table. His nose crunched. He rolled back onto the floor, dropping his staff along the way. Spluttering fury and blood, he tried waving his hand and garbled some incantation, and then another with no effect. I stood up and offered my hand to help him stand. Blood was pouring down over his beautiful embroidered vest. He rejected my hand and tried to stand up, but tripped over his own cape. Quiet laughter rippled around the room. As he wobbled back to his feet, I went over and picked up his staff, then offered it to him. He snatched it from my hand and pointed it at me. Again. How dare you? He shrieked, and blubbered another incantation. I just stood there. The staff head flickered and glowed even more than before, but nothing happened other than a quiet poof. I shifted my weight, then swung my arm under and around his staff to grab it just behind the head, and pulled it out of his hand. I finished the motion by letting it swing a full circle around my hand and let it bop him on the head. Gently, somewhat, but enough for the room to hear the clunk. Auric put both hands on his freshly bruised head while I dropped the staff on the floor. Auric, dear boy, said one of the elves as she approached. There are times the magics don't work very well, and this is one of them it seems. Auric glared at her and daubed his nose with a kerchief. Perhaps you should have that seen to back at the keep. Auric snuffled some more, then turned to stomp off towards the door. I am Laruado, said the elf. I hope you don't mind me interrupting. Not at all, Laruado. I am Martin, a carpenter, here to seek work. Martin, you say? Were you the one to remask the dancing jack back in Ulfstown? Yes, I was. The jack was in terrible shape after surviving that storm. 2 dead, alas, but at least they avoided the rocks. Captain Yenbo is a good sailor. Yes, I know Captain Yenbo, and they were lucky indeed. My ship could use a refit, so perhaps I could offer you some work and passage? Sounds good. Mind if I finish my sandwich first? Not at all. Enjoy. And don't worry about Auric. He's a bureaucratic hack. The ale was excellent. Maybe my days of blood and sand were finally behind me.